hockey fan here once again, and I'd like to talk about the upcoming trade deadline and the moves I think Montreal might make, the trade rumors surrounding the team, things that could come in, could come out. They could end up getting picks, they could end up getting players. We'll see what happens. The only real major rumor surrounding Montreal right now is that Charles Hudon is definitely being shopped for a mid-round pick. I don't know what that means to the management of Montreal, maybe a third or a fourth round pick. I think he's at least worth a second round pick. He had 30 points in 72 games last year, but that's my personal opinion. I really like him as a player. I think he could at least play on the fourth line of any NHL team, and he's a cheap option for an NHL team if they need a good depth player. There's a lot of trade speculation surrounding Jordie Benn, but that's only because he's playing so good and he comes at such a cheap cap hit. He'd be a good rental for any team. I don't know what teams would be willing to give up for him, but there is a lot of trade speculation surrounding Jordie Benn. Some minor rumors are that MB was at a few Anaheim games this year, is that he was looking at Hampus Lindholm and he was looking at Cam Fowler. There's a lot of minor rumors around Cam Fowler. A lot of fans speculating that he's coming to Montreal and that Montreal's after him. It's more so fan speculation and stuff you hear on Facebook and social media and Twitter, but there are a lot of rumors surrounding Cam Fowler. I haven't heard much about Lindholm, so I guess people ain't as big on him, but that's a lot of minor rumors. And there was a couple rumors about Charlie Lindgren a couple months ago. I read them on a few sites that Philly and teams like Philly and Florida inquired about him. It doesn't mean that they were going to trade him or go after him or anything like that. They just inquired about him. He's a guy that people would like to have. I guess he's a coveted piece. Montreal could move him because he does. Although his NHL numbers aren't, or his AHL numbers aren't spectacular, his NHL numbers are really good for a short time. He did play in Montreal last year, and on a team that was a really, really bad team, he was a positive part of that team. He was one of the positive stories of last year, and there was very few, of course. A lot of things people have been saying. I've heard a few people in the media speculate. I've heard it on Sportsnet. I've heard it a couple of things that MB may deviate from the plan. No one's saying he's going to, but he said in his press conference before that he wasn't moving any prospects. He wasn't moving any major pieces to bring in a guy that can help right now, to bring in a rental that's going to make the team thrive or anything like that, or make him a legit contender. But since they're so good and since they've looked so good and they've took out teams like Winnipeg with very strong performances, maybe he's having a change of mind. Maybe he would move a player like Nick Suzuki and a roster player like Jordie Benn for a guy that could come in and help right now, a good left-handed shot D that you could slot into your top four and solidify your D, or somebody that could really help the power play. Because if this team could get the power play going at all, they would be a legit, serious, scary team for any team. They got Carey Price going. They'd have a good power play going. They'd have one of the strongest 5-on-5 teams in the East and one of the strongest 5-on-5 teams in the NHL, in my opinion. So yeah, if they could get that power play going, bring in a guy to get the power play going, that would be a big boost to this team. The trade chips I think Montreal has, the things I think they'd move myself, if you absolutely came down to it, was like, MB, what's your list of things you'd move? What things would Montreal move? I think they'd move that second round pick they got from Columbus. I don't think Montreal would move 1, 2, 3, or 4, or if there are any top 4 picks that they own, but they got a second round pick from Columbus they got from a trade a while back, and I think they'd move that. They also have Arizona, Chicago, and Edmonton's 5th round picks, so they're easily movable. I'm sure Montreal could package them in with a deal and they would have no problem moving them, because 5th round pick is far from a coveted pick. You never know, you could find a gem. No, they could possibly move Folin, who they got from the Philly trade, but only because he's such a cheap cap hit right now. They got so much of his salary retained from Philly that he comes at the league low $650K cap hit, and he's a really good player for your bottom pairing. He's a good depth player. He's a guy that you could put on your bottom pairing of teams that have bad D. Could use a player like that, and he's really cheap, so you could package him in with a piece, or you could just maybe even move him by himself and get a good pick back, a second. Who knows? Also, I've heard a lot about Charles Hudon. Obviously, he's being shot for a second round pick, but I think that if you could package Charles Hudon in a good deal too. A couple other guys that there's been trade rumors around. I think Montreal could use his trade chips that ain't so valuable to the team that they're unmovable or anything like that. Charlie Lindgren is definitely a guy who's a trade chip. Even though a lot of people, he's a fan favorite because of what he did last year. He did stand on his head in some games last year in Montreal. He looked great in the Detroit game last year in Montreal. He is a good goalie. He may not have the best AHL numbers in the world, but as a trade chip for teams like Philadelphia, Florida, St. Louis, teams that need goaltending depth, even Vancouver, teams like that, they would probably pay a pretty penny for Charlie Lindgren if you put him in with a deal. If you say you sent somebody like Lehkonen and Charlie Lindgren and a good pick over, you'd probably get a good player back. So he's a player who could be moved too. Mike Riley is a guy who's been a healthy scratch a few times this year. I don't think MB wants him as the permanent partner to Jeff Petrie. He's been in and out of the lineup too much. He's just a guy they can't rely on. And if they got a good player coming back that could play with Petrie, a good left-handed shot defenseman or somebody really worth it, I could see Mike Riley going, so I see that as a possible trade chip for the Habs too, and he's not a bad player. For what they paid for him and for what he's done in Montreal and the speed he brings and the creativity he brings, and when he's on his game, he's really good. We've seen him score a beautiful backhand goal where he just walked in on the goalie this year, put it right up over his shoulder. So he is a creative player for a defenseman. He has a good shot. He can skate hard. So he could be slotted in his bottom pairing or even top 4 pairing on another team. He isn't doing a terrible job in Montreal. He's just not reliable, and he's been a healthy scratch quite a few times. So I could see him definitely being a trade chip. Now, the guys that I think they're going to be targeting, well, the guys at Montreal that the sites I looked at had listed as Montreal's trade targets, the guys that the reputable sites I looked at, not Reddit or not what people say on social media. The sites I went to and looked at actually were ProHockeyRumors.com, LastWordOnHockey.com, and I went to Sportsnet.ca and TSN.ca, and the main names I seen for they think that Montreal should go after. They think they should go after Cam Fowler, left-handed D, cap hit 6.5 mil, would instantly solidify your top 4 D core, would probably make your team a contender with Weber, Mete, Petrie, and Fowler in the back end, and if scoring got up front, if you could get the power play going, he'd probably run the power play and help the power play too. He's a good two-way defenseman. He's a tough guy. He's the type of player you want in the playoffs. Whether or not Montreal would do that or not, go after a guy like that, because he is a rental, you'd have to pay a pretty penny for him. There's no guarantee he'd re-sign. But whether or not they'd go after a guy like that is another question. But that's one of the guys that was definitely out there as a trade target for Montreal. Another big trade target that people had listed was Alec Martinez from the LA Kings, former Stanley Cup winner. He's a good left-handed shot D-man. He's fast. He comes at a reasonable 4 mil cap hit. He plays on the power play. He's a pretty good power play player on a team that struggles in LA. And he's a reliable clutch player. He was a clutch player for him in the playoffs, and he's a guy who would be slotted into your top 4 in Montreal before. He's definitely an upgrade to Riley, at least in my opinion he is. Another guy, he's not a defenseman, but he'd be a top 6 forward, and he's so good on the power play. He would totally help your power play. He scored over 20 goals twice. He scored 30 goals before, and he's also 25% of his career points overall come on the power play. He's a big power play guy, and that's Tyler Toffoli. He's a proven goal scorer, would instantly go into your top 6, would be an upgrade on anybody in the top 6 besides the top line maybe. I don't know if he would go into the top 6 in his team. Maybe they'd put him down with Kotkaniemi or something like that, but he would definitely be on your first pairing in your power play, your first power play line, and he would help the power play a lot. 25% of this guy's career points have come off the power play, and he has quite a few power play points, and he's a proven goal scorer. Another guy who almost every Habs fan I've talked to so far would say they would love to see on their team. I've heard so many Habs fans say they want this guy on the team, and he was also on the lists of when I looked at the websites what guys Montreal could be targeting for their trades. This was a guy that was right up there. It's Wayne Simmons. He brings in a lot of well-needed toughness for the playoffs. He can produce if he's given the right situation. He's clearly not doing it in Philadelphia this year. He'd probably cost you a bit. He only comes at I'm not sure what the cap hit is on Wade Simmons. I actually never had it written down, but he's not a huge cap hit, but he's a UFA at the end of the year, and he's probably going to want to raise, even though he is underwhelming and underproducing this year in Philadelphia. He's a guy that can bring a lot to your team. Toronto's been named in trade rumors for him. I heard the asking price is really high, so Montreal realistically probably isn't going to go after him, but if it was a guy they got, he'd help the team a lot, and he'd be an upgrade. He'd be a great depth player, or he'd probably go right in the top 6, who knows. Other names I've heard are Hampus Lindholm, of course, and I've heard a lot about Shane Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere's name is on the list, too. Like I said, Bergevin could be willing to deviate from the plan. Another thing Montreal has going for him coming into this trade deadline, Bergevin said before he may be willing to take on a bad contract with a good player and maybe give up a crappy pick, something that's not going to hurt the team at all, something invaluable to Montreal, give it back to that team, and in return, get back a bad contract, a player they don't want, and a good player that's going to help your power player, bolster your top 6, or bolster your D-core, and they just buy out that bad contract and keep the good player exactly like they did with Joel Armia when they got Joel Armia and Steve Mason. They kept Joel Armia and they bought out Steve Mason. That's probably what they do because Montreal has $41.8 mil cap space going into this deadline. I know, it's crazy. I went to Cap Friendly to get that, so that's what they got going into the deadline. $41.8 million to play with, so they could get a good player that just needs to be able to trade for him. They don't want to move the pieces for him is the thing. But yeah, that's my take on this year's what Montreal could do. Couple of trades that I had written down. I'm just trying to find them here now amongst my giant list of notes I've had written down actually. A couple of trades I had speculated for Montreal, trades that I wouldn't mind seeing a team make myself. I know a lot of guys love Jordie Benn. I love Jordie Benn too. The only reason I'd say I think Montreal should do this is because it would be an upgrade on Jordie Benn. Jordie Benn's great bottom pairing defenseman, heart and soul player in Montreal. I'd be sad to see him go too, but Jordie Benn, Charles Hudon, a second round Columbus Blue Jackets second round pick which Montreal owns, to LA for Alec Martinez. Sure, he's a rental, but he's an upgrade on your D-core. He would definitely help you go into the playoffs. He's won a Stanley Cup. He's proven he's stopped clutch in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's the type of player you want. He's an upgrade on Ben. Losing Hudon isn't going to hurt you at all, and he's an RFA, so he helps LA. He's a player they can probably definitely re-sign, I would say. And LA gets a second round pick out of it for a player that they're not going to re-sign. I don't think Martinez is going to re-sign with LA, direction they're going. And I don't think LA would pay Martinez the money he's worth, in my opinion. And they'd get a good roster player, a good vet to play on their team this year in Jordie Benn. And Montreal would get that top 4 D-men that they could move Riley down or possibly move Riley out and put Martinez in there. Another move I think they would make, this would be a crazy move for Montreal. I'm not sure if Anaheim would do it. They'd probably get better offers. For Cam Fowler, Anaheim's probably going to be offered a first and a decent prospect. But I think if Montreal really wanted to go for it and get a really good top D-man on a D-core, either put him with Weber or put him with Petrie. Personally, I'd like to see him go with Petrie because Weber looks good with Mete. They complement each other well. They are a good top D-line, despite what anybody says. They are. I watch them play all the time. They're a good top D-line. May not have looked like it last game, but overall, they're good. They can do the job, and they'd be great in the playoffs. But I'd like to see a first-round pick, Mike Riley, in Arizona's 5th round pick, maybe Edmonton's 5th round pick too. I can kind of consider 5th round picks invaluable unless you're going to find gems, which are rare in the 5th round, but you can find them. For Cam Fowler. So that would be a 1st round pick for Montreal, Mike Riley, and Arizona's 5th round pick for Cam Fowler. You might have to throw another 5th in there. But I think if Anaheim didn't get a better offer than that, they'd probably do it because Cam Fowler isn't going to resign in Anaheim. It's tire fire in Anaheim. It's terrible. He's too good of a young player. He's a winner. He's been a winner his whole career, and all he wants to do is win. And I think in Montreal he'd have a chance to win, and Montreal could be able to re-sign him if he went to Montreal. I think if Montreal did that deal, my God, that would be so good. I don't know if it'll make him a legit contender. Maybe you'd have to add a little bit up front. Somebody that can help your power play, a cheaper option that could come in and maybe help your power play. Something got to get going with that power play. Fowler probably would help it because he does got a good shot and he is a good two-way player. He would definitely take your team from a team that's probably maybe going to win around to a team that's definitely up there in the contenders in the East. Probably wouldn't put them above Tampa or Toronto, but it would definitely put Montreal in Stanley Cup contention, in my opinion. If you got Cam Fowler on your team, that would be crazy. So that's a good move I'd like to see Montreal make. And also in in Anaheim's favor, they'd be getting a 1st round pick. They could find a very valuable player in that 1st round that could help them in the long term. And they'd be getting Mike Riley, a guy who they'd have for the rest of the year and could probably sign at the end of this year. He's not going to want a pile of money. He isn't worth a pile of money. He's a good depth player. Could possibly even slot him in your top 4 on a good team in the right role. Riley could thrive. And they'd be getting 2 5th round picks. So Anaheim would have to be happy with that trade for a player that's only going to have for a few more months, and they're not going to make the playoffs anyways. I don't think Fowler's going to re-sign in Anaheim. That's just my opinion. But those are a few things I think Montreal could do. Those are the trade chips I think Montreal had. Those are the trade rumors I've been hearing. All the sites I've checked, those are names I've heard. And so yeah, guys, that's my trade deadline video for the Montreal Canadiens, what I think they could do. And I'd love to see MB pull a rabbit out of a hat and have a little trick up that sleeve and do something great for this team, develop them from a good team to serious contention, because I would like to see him deviate from the plan. Like maybe move a Nick Suzuki. Don't move Romanov. Don't move Paling. Those guys are too valuable. But maybe move a Josh Brooks or a Nick Suzuki. Throw a Jordie Benn or a Terry Lehkonen in there and get back a sick top 6 forward or a great left-handed D-man. Maybe if you even had to move that 1st round pick, because I'm telling you, Montreal has the chips to bring in the players to make them a legit contender, to put them right up there with Toronto and Tampa this year if they truly wanted to, if MB truly deviated from the plan. But he made it clear at the press conference that's not what he's going to do. But look how good the team is. They're not that far off. I'm telling you, if you're a guy that wants to see him go for it this year, there's a lot of good moves Montreal could make. Me personally, I'm kind of on the fence. I know in the long-term run they're going to be a good player. They need Ryan Poehling. They need Romanov for sure. Brooks may be a key player. But Suzuki, I feel, is somebody they can move that's expendable because they have Kakanyemi, they have Deneau, they have Domi. So if you brought Poehling in there, that's your 4 centers right there. So Suzuki is a blue-chip prospect who you could move. So it's up to MB what he wants to do there. But that's my take on the trade deadline, what Montreal might do. Hopefully you liked the video, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you have a great day. Update the Tampa game tomorrow. I'll do a review. I'm sorry I didn't get a recap of last night's Nashville game. It was a brutal game. I ended up falling asleep before the game. I had to go to work early, and I came home, and I was like, I want to make a trade deadline video. I don't want a depressing, negative Nashville video, so I'm sorry about the recap. If you missed the game, Montreal lost 3-1, and Subban had an assist, and Weber had 0 points, so it sucked for Montreal fans. It was one of their worst games of the year. Price was good, though, and overall, Tatar looked really good, too. The Domi was flying around. There were some good things about the game. They had a lot of shots and stuff, but they didn't win the game. Anyways, guys, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to leave a comment with possible trade proposals. If you guys have some trade proposals, name off a few. I might make a video talking about the trade proposals. You guys name it, what I think of them, if I do it or not. And yeah, so hit me up with a few of those. Have a great day, folks. Mr. Average Hockey Fan, over and out.